Hi, I'm Tony Van Veen, CEO of Discmakers. Chilling this morning, listening to one of my favorite albums. Let me turn that down for a minute. And I figured, what better time to record the third installment of our three-part video series about selling vinyl and what it takes to recoup your vinyl investment. Let me get up for a sec. Okay, so if you haven't seen part 1 and 2 of this series, where I do all the math on vinyl selling and the margins you can make, we've dropped links to those 2 videos in the pinned comment below. Today, I'm going to give you some surefire tips on what you can do as an artist to pretty much guarantee that you'll sell enough records to cover your manufacturing costs. Let's dive in, shall we? If you watched the first 2 videos in this series, you know that on a starter order of 100 records, the goal is to sell 50 LPs, which is enough to cover the manufacturing cost of your vinyl order. For the majority of active artists who are performing on a regular basis, or even if you're performing on an occasional basis, selling 50 LPs is actually kind of a piece of cake. Depending on the crowd size that you play for, you're likely to sell at least a couple of records, 2, 3, 5 records each show. Play a series of shows and you've got your 50 record sales in the bag. But I understand that if this is your first time doing vinyl, you might still be a bit unsure about making your money back. So here are my tips and my strategies for maximizing your selling opportunities, which will, as I said, virtually guarantee that you'll move at least 50 records. Let's start by giving some thought to who you can sell those beautiful records to. Your prospective buyers consist of 4 concentric circles: family, friends, fans, and strangers. Now, the big secret to selling the most records possible is this. Pay attention. You can't be afraid to ask. This is a big deal. You have to ask for the sale. I've been to many a concert where the artist has a merch booth, but almost no one in the room knows about it unless you happen to go to the bathroom and see the table in a back corner somewhere. If you've given a show and kept your merch table a secret from the audience, you're unlikely to sell your 50 records. You have to ask people to buy your records. The second secret to selling records is you have to make people want to buy your merch. Ask them to buy your merch and then make them want to buy your merch. So let's take a look at some ways to ask and then some ways to make people want it. And by the way, some artists may not exactly like some of my advice. They may find it too crassly commercial or too awkward. That's okay. Take the tips you do like and roll with those. But know that the more of these strategies that you implement, the more records you will sell. First, let's talk about your friends and family. You have their phone numbers, you have their email addresses, and you see them in person. You want to use each of these channels and opportunities to ask them to buy your record. Plus, you want to take every chance you got when you see them in person to tell them about your record. Whether it's friends, family, or fans, one of the best ways to sell records, believe it or not, is through email. Email drives sales at a much higher rate than posting on your socials, though you should obviously do that as well. I mean, everybody does that, right? So I know some of you must be thinking, email? Nobody does email anymore. Except the data shows time and again that email is the best sales driver of all the communication channels out there. So opinions be damned, trust the data. But don't think you're done after you send that email and post that Insta post and TikTok video about your record. After hearing about your record once, most people won't take action. In fact, studies were done that the average person needs something like 9 impressions of a message before taking an action. So you're gonna have to send multiple emails to your list and do multiple social posts. Yes, all about that one new album that you're just releasing. It may seem annoying to you to repeatedly message your list, but the truth is most people will flat out ignore your emails and posts, at least most of them, so you have to hit them over the head several times. One of the most important things when you talk to people about your record is to tell a story about it. Something interesting that grabs the reader or the viewer's attention. Something compelling, something that tugs at their heartstrings maybe. Talk about how excited you are, how special this project has been for you. Offer up some details about what inspired this record, the struggles and heartbreaks and joys and thrills you experienced which led to this final product. And of course, don't forget to tell people that you really want them to own one. Also, don't just use text in your communications, particularly email. Photos are great. Video is better. Get some footage of you holding that record, of you playing the record, of you dancing to the record, of you kicking your spouse out of bed so that you can spend the night sleeping next to your records. Yeah, go ahead. Have some fun with it. People will appreciate it. So in your emails, your social posts, and even when you're on stage, you want to have a clear call to action. Tell people what you want them to do. It's amazing. If you actually tell people what it is that you want them to do, some of them will actually do it. Like when you're on stage at a concert, tell the audience that you have a merch booth, that you have your brand new LP for sale for $25, and that you'll be at the booth yourself after your set. In your emails, tell them to click here to be among the first to get my new album. Don't leave any confusion about what it is you want a prospective buyer to do. Of course, you want to make sure you're set up to accept credit cards at your concerts with an app like Square. Nobody walks around with cash anymore, certainly not if they're under 35. You don't want to lose out on any sales because you only accept cash. Here's a way to let strangers know about your record. When you receive your cartons of records from disc makers, film yourself unboxing them, marveling about how amazing and beautiful they are, and maybe even shed a tear. Then post that on socials and tag us. Most of the time, we will share that on our disc maker socials. It's a cool little way to get a bit more brand awareness of your album among an audience that doesn't know you. Of course, the absolute best way to reach strangers is if you perform on a bill with other artists. Their fans won't know you, but if you give an amazing show, you can sell records to total strangers. I was at a concert where the opening act was a Norwegian indie rock band called Slamosa. They gave such an amazing performance that there ended up being about 50 people lined up at their merch booth after their set, and autographed by the bass player. You could do that too. So now let's talk a bit about making people want to buy your record. One of the best ways to sell more records is to sit at your merch table yourself after your set to sell your records and to autograph those records for fans, right? That makes the record such a special, unique memento that your fans will always hold on to it, no matter where they move, even when they move into a retirement home. There's another great way to make fans want to buy your album. Issue it as a limited edition. If fans know that once this pressing run is sold, there won't be any more made, that will make your record a much more desirable merch item. You can also offer a discount or make a bundle. People love a deal, offering $5 off your record or a $5 discount if they get your record and t-shirt. It will make people pay attention. You can do this at your merch booth, but also in your emails, of course, and on your socials you can make an offer like that. Now, some people may frown on this next tactic, but you can even apply a strategy that many retailers use, making it look like you're offering a discount by putting a higher list price on your record, say $30, and then putting a big red strike through that with a marker and selling your record for $25. And I might See how some people could think this is unethical? But let's be real here for a second. It's a tried and true retail merchandising strategy that's been successfully used for decades, if not centuries, by every big and little store out there. Finally, one thing you should definitely do when you have a new album out is to promote one of your concerts as your vinyl record release concert. Heck, it doesn't even have to be a headlining concert. Just promote it as your album release concert. This primes your fans to come with cash or a credit card to buy your record. Oh, and I remembered one final suggestion. I know just about every artist out there is hot to trot to get their music out on streaming literally just minutes after you're done your mix, right? Don't do that. Patience, grasshopper. Hold off on your digital distribution and release your physical album 2 weeks before your music is all over streaming. If you have any fans at all, they'll want to buy your album to hear your new music before it hits Spotify. Look, there are many more ways to promote your record and to entice people to buy, but if I kept going, this video would be so long nobody would want to watch it. The fact is, if you want to sell a lot of records, you are only limited by your imagination and by the courage to try new things. If you do all these things that I talked about, repeated messaging, creative storytelling, clear call to action, and making fans want to buy your album, you will see you won't sell just 50 records, you'll sell a lot more. And of course, this doesn't apply just to records. It applies to CDs, it applies to t-shirts, it applies to concert tickets, or anything else that you want to sell. Hey, you can do this. I know you can. In fact, when I listen to all these tips myself, I'm thinking, why would you only press 100 records? Press 200. Ready to get rolling? We'll be here when you're ready.